So there are some gimmicks that we wish would never die, and there are some gimmicks we wish never started.
Yes.
And tonight we are going to break some of those down. This is the Rated R Rapport. Tonight our guests are the Holiday Chris Mace, the Cleaver Colin Andrew. This is the General Jerry Slaughter. I am, of course, the Wizard of No DQ Stephen Osborne. And thanks for joining us.
Support No DQ.
Your idea here is the best and worst gimmicks, but in the extreme of they should have never been started in the first place. So that narrows it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And ones that, though that wrestler may be 67 years old right now, they should still be doing this gimmick, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that narrows it down to those two, because there are some gimmicks that no matter how good they are, they do have a shelf life.
Yeah.
Even The Undertaker. We've seen it, because even he had to change it up to the American Badass.
Yeah.
And then back. So, do we want to go do round robin here, start with somebody?
You guys have any you want to start with? You want to think on a little bit more? Because I have a couple.
Well, then start it off, man.
All right.
There you go.
All right. My favorite gimmick that didn't really take off like it should have in WWE, because it started off in NXT. It was Bo Dallas's Believer. I loved that gimmick so much because it was so freaking horrible. Like the motivation, that was the genius of it.
If you love it because it's horrible, I can't argue with you.
Yes,
I just
like,
don't love it because it's horrible. I think it's horrible.
I thought like the cheesy motivational videos that they were showing for the little vignettes and whatnot were great. His like motivational speeches before his matches. Him running around the ring celebrating at the end. It was just an awesome gimmick that just went entirely away too fast, I think. They didn't let it grow like it should have. Him and his brother are collectively like two of the best gimmicks at that point in the company. Because you had Bo Dallas on one side of the spectrum being all sorts of like, inspirational and whatnot. And he had his brother, Wyndham Rotundo, a.k.a. Bray Wyatt, pulling off some of the greatest shit on the planet. So, it was just completely different spectrums, and just, they're both doing awesome jobs at that point. I think at that point, they had some of the best writing going on. In a time where writing was starting to suffer just a little bit. But, gimmicks that should have never happened. There's one in particular I always go back to, and that's when William Regal became the real man's man.
Oh, that was horrible.
Like he was coming out looking like the brawny guy to the music. He's a man.
He looked like he belonged in a
He's
line
a
with
real
an Indian and
man's
a cop.
man.
Yeah.
You look like that guy dressed all in the toilet paper that you would see in the grocery stores.
As I said, brawny.
He's the C in YMCA.
Yeah, he was a C in YMCA. It was that horrible. And I'm glad they went back to him just being the British badass that he was, and with the But those are my picks for right now. I got probably more floating around in my head, especially the zombie on the first episode of Sci-Fi, ECW on Sci-Fi, where they had that, and the Sandman just caned the crap out of them. Then you had the Mummy that popped up on WCW, and that was freaking horrible. I think it was the Yeti.
Oh, I could tell you two from WCW, one in each category. First off, Glacier. Love Glacier.
There's not one kid that didn't love Glacier at that point.
He had the best entrance. He got in the ring, and he did like karate, like taekwondo, like the stuff that kids actually do in America, because there's a taekwondo or a karate studio in every town. Yeah. Somebody's teaching it. It's not like judo and some of the actual like the styles that they use for MMA and in fighting and combat sports.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was in the ring and he was really like good, and his entrance was amazing.
Oh yeah.
And he lasted maybe a year or two and just fizzled out because of the cat Ernest Miller for some reason or another. I can't even remember, but
I don't remember either.
Somehow Ernest Miller foiled Glacier into just becoming a jobber. Like, I think the problem with Glacier was it was too good and he got too many wins, and like it was once he lost, though, it was like a losing streak, and it's like
at one point he like
misuse.
I think around that time also he was feuding with Mortis, who we eventually came to love as Chris Canyon. So him and his Sinister Minister, like that was a great feud. So
and then what was the other one?
Wrath.
Well, Wrath and Mortis, I thought they were cool, but I thought the one that should have never started was the Demon.
Oh,
when
Lord.
When they had Kiss on guest
God.
performing, and then they debuted the Demon, and the problem with the Demon was it had a definite shelf life because they only had the rights to that makeup for a short period of time, relatively speaking, and when they lost it, what the fuck do you do with them now?
That was like with the oddities in WWF when they had the Insane Clown Posse. They had John Tenta Earthquakes like wrestling more or less in a mask with like a Cartman shirt on the entire time, carrying out cheesy poofs. It was a horrible gimmick. Kurgan and Giant Silva, I think, rounded it out with Luna Vachon.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was just a horrible idea. And it was just a horrible faction. Probably the worst faction I think we actually had in WWE. Or WWF at that point.
Here's a controversial
Was
one
it
from
worse than Truth
WWF.
Commission? Because they were horrible too.
Goldust.
Oh God, yeah.
Goldust
Should have
was
never happened.
Goldust was great until he became a little too weird. As weird as that sounds, he got a little too comfortable.
Should have never had. It was probably the worst thing for his career too, to get pigeonholed as Goldust. Even when he was going to debut in WCW, they had him at was like Silver Dust or some shit like that.
They have his reign. I think it was right.
But he.
What was it?
7.
Oh.
No, it was 7.
7. There you go. So, but he looked like a Silver Dust, basically.
Yeah.
And of course, he quickly got rid of that. But what he went into wasn't much better. I just think Goldust was just.
Stardust wasn't much better.
In the short term, Goldust probably would have done okay, but that's the kind of thing that they exploited Goldust for every bit of Goldust he was worth. To the point where I really do hope he ends up in AEW when his contract does actually expire.
Okay.
What about you guys?
Well, I have one more great one. One more great one, and it's a great one indeed. Kai and Tai, Funaki and Taken Michinoku doing like the Japanese subtitles.
All I can remember from that is I choppy your pee-pee.
Oh, that was with Val Venus. Yeah, that was a great
Yes,
feud.
it's really the only thing I remember out of that too.
Rest in peace, Yamaguchi-san.
English and somebody talking over him speaking in English, and then Funaki, indeed.
Yes. Because he would his mouth would just go for like 30 seconds, and all you had was indeed.
Yeah, that's a good gimmick.
Yes, it
So,
was.
What about you guys? Gimmicks that should have never started, gimmicks that should have never ended.
Well, I can think of one because I answered it earlier in Armbar. Emelina should have never started. Remember how we had weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of vignettes, and she walked out as Emelina for 5 seconds, and then next week she's back to Emma, and Emelina's never heard of again.
Yep.
And then what? Like a few months later, she's gone.
Or was it a couple months?
Was it? It might have been a couple of
Well,
months.
what was it? She was like
Didn't feel
falsely.
like a couple
Wasn't
months.
she like falsely accused? I think it was like shoplifting or some crap.
That was way before.
That was years prior.
That was prior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was back when she was in NXT.
NXT, yeah, that's when she was, still freshy in NXT. Gimmicks that I thought could have stayed around a little longer. Honestly, I thought Taker could have stayed as the American Badass for a little longer.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that gimmick. That gimmick was sweet. He played it perfectly from both sides when he was like big evil and when he was just straight biker Taker. That feud he had with Ric Flair. Was it like WrestleMania 17? No. I don't remember which meeting it was, but yeah, that's one. I agree with you, Jerry, and the oddities. I fucking hated that gimmick. That shit was dumb as hell.
Yeah.
Like, I blame that moment for ICP still being involved with wrestling in some part of the universe.
Strangely enough, I like their Juggalo Championship wrestling that they were doing. Pretty much a bunch of it was just hardcore stuff, but then they had some high flyers and some legends in there. And their commentary was just fucking hilarious. So,
a gimmick that I honestly hate, Cassius Ohno.
Yes.
I want to hate. I still want to hate Cassius Ohno, but anytime his music hits, it's like you just start swaying back and forth. And you go, oh no.
He's turned into a Wrestle Talk CGW crap gimmick wrestling character. He's just cottage cheese man. He's just.
They should have just left him as Chris Hero. That's what they should have just done. Just brought him in as Chris Hero, and I changed his name to Cassius Ohno.
They should have never fired him and let him go home and sit on the couch.
It's pretty much like what happened was he got defeated at one point, got released, and he went to shit. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. So poor Cassius Ohno. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh God, stupidest gimmicks. Chavo Guerrero with Pepe.
We cannot forget Kerwin White.
The blonde.
Yes.
Let's see here. One. So that's one I would have got rid of.
You remember who his caddy was, right?
For a short amount of time, but hold on just a second. My phone's being a quit. Hey, we got updates. But anyways, like I said, I like Perry Saturn with Moppy, but I think they could have took that a little bit further with him actually going a little more crazy with the idea where Terry destroyed Moppy. I think they could have kept Al Snow the way he was with Head in ECW when they brought him back.
That was so great.
Head's talking to him constantly because everybody wants Head, but he's talking to Head more than what he did. He just pretty much when he was in WWF, he just kept shaking Head around. That's pretty much all he really did. He wasn't talking to it. He wasn't being that character from ECW where he was talking and arguing with Head. It's all your fault. You did this. I lost match because of you.
All the styrofoam heads flying.
Well, there were a few segments like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually watched all of that fairly recently. But not like in ECW, no.
No.
But they did, because there'd be some backstage segments, like he'd be back in the fucking hallway.
Yeah.
Talking to Head.
Mm-hmm.
Blaming her for losing a match. Anyway.
I really liked Mordecai. I'm not sure if you guys remember him because he ended up becoming Kevin Thorne. He ended up becoming Kevin Thorne in the the relaunch of ECW, and that vampire character didn't work out. But Mordecai had this whole Undertaker white thing going for a little bit, and that could have been taken a lot further than it was. But he was still so green at that point that they really couldn't do anything else with him. So he got shipped away and repackaged as a fucking vampire.
I actually agree with you on Mordecai.
Yeah.
It's like he just disappeared.
Yeah. And
I have one that goes for both.
All right.
Was Muhammad Hassan.
Oh, yes.
I was just about to bring that up.
Either he should have never started to begin with because this was post 9/11, or he should have never fallen victim to terrorism and been completely deleted by was it The Undertaker?
Yeah.
Completely deleted off of WWE because of the attacks on London.
Yeah.
One or the other. I'm actually good with him being a mainstay heel character. He was so good at walking that line. And he was a great wrestler, a great kid. He was a great
He was an Italian New York guy, and he posed as pretty much a terrorist, and he did it so well. Him and Daivari would just piss people off just by speaking in their his native tongue, and it was just brilliant television.
He could have been sitting there saying great positive things about the crowd, and they'd still boo him, you know?
Like it could have been loosely translated. You all had beautiful haircuts.
And they'd still boo him. It was.
And the thing about him, if I remember right, he was more likely going to be set to face Batista at SummerSlam for all that happened, and the Undertaker had to pretty much kill him in storyline.
Yep.
I think he's killed a lot of people in wrestling. I've realized Paul Bearer.
I think the NWO should have never died. I think the NWO should have won the battle of WCW versus NWO World Tour.
Yeah.
I mean, I think NWO should have taken Thunder and had the Thursday night slot, and then if they had their own show, you could have rebooted the Invasion, and now it's recluse WCW guys invading NWO to get TV time because they can't get it on Monday Nitro.
Yeah.
So they're coming aboard. They're coming into the Hornet's Nest, just looking for a match, and they're trying to pull off a huge win. And you would see that, and eventually they'd band together, and there's the invasion of the NWO show by some WCW guys.
Complete turn. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that.
Meanwhile, when the NWO does invade Nitro and WCW, it means so much more.
Yeah.
I think the NWO could have gone on for fucking ever. It was that brilliant of an idea from the get-go, compared to all the other factions that were always just so small.
Yeah.
They can take over tag teams, and they can take over a couple of tag team champs, and then a mid-card title champ and a main champ. But to take over the whole show, to have dozens of guys under your umbrella, the NWO was so fucking brilliant.
Yep. And
it should have never died.
But when do you think the NWO lost its credibility? Because it seemed like the more and more people they added, it seemed like it kept watering it down as it kept going. Like he had like half the roster in the NWO at one point.
That's a question I was going to ask you, and Chris, I'm actually extremely glad you brought that up. What do you think ultimately just caused the downfall to NWO, and what was that turning point where it's like, okay, this is going to go downhill really, really quickly?
The turning point was when the Wolfpack and the Black and White rejoined the faction. You had the Finger Poke of Doom. As cool as that was for me, because Hollywood Hogan was my favorite wrestler, and he gets the title back, thank God.
Yeah.
I mean, I love seeing Goldberg. If anybody had to beat Hogan, thank God it was Goldberg. But, and Sting was great to beat him for, too, because you love Sting, because Crow Sting was amazing. You didn't have to listen to him.
Yeah.
For like a year and a half, Sting didn't have to say shit. He just rappelled down to the ring and hit everybody with baseball bats, and occasionally had a pay-per-view match. It was great. Yeah, that was the turning point. It basically took all of the credibility away from the NWO. It should have never gotten to that point. The split between the Wolfpack and the Black and White should have happened under the umbrella of the NWO on Thursday night.
Yeah.
That could have been a storyline there. But for them to come back together, it just shows that it went down a completely wrong path. And that was the turning point that eventually... Now, they could have gotten it back with the NWO 2000, the Silver and Black.
Yeah.
I was all behind the Silver and Black, dude.
Jarrett
that was
leading
great.
it. Yeah.
Problem, well, no, for me, it was Bret Hart leading it.
And then he got concussed by Goldberg. Yes.
That was the immediate death of the new NWO. And, of course, the reboot that Vince did on WWF, WWE, whatever, was the absolute... That was them digging up the NWO corpse and having necrophilia with them.
They Katie picked the shit out of that.
They resurrected the NWO to bury them because they could. And it was WCW, and that's what WWE does. That's what they did with Sting.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. So, any others?
I had one, and now I forgot because shit. Oh, Lord Tensai. Wish that would never happen.
Oh, God, yeah. You mean Albert?
Yeah. Matt Bloom.
Oh,
yeah.
my God.
John Bernard, wherever.
That
Like,
my I believe my actual thoughts when that whole thing was happening. I think when he first debuted and came out, I think there were some video packages or whatnot. But I'm sitting here like, people know who this guy is.
Yeah.
They know he's A-Train. They know he's Prince Albert. They know Matt Bloom.
Yeah.
Like
X Factor.
Yep.
they are not going to believe he's this Oriental guy and his name is Lord Tensai. Like, no, he's just it was terrible. You're so right on that.
Yeah.
So right on Lord Tensai. I did like the beating that he did on John Cena, though.
Since Colin brought that up, X Factor was just horrible. That should have never happened.
Oh yeah. X-Pac just incredible.
Yeah. Theme song that just
Cracker.
Yeah.
We should be talking in this year at some point about the greatest tag teams of all time, and in that conversation should have been Chronic.
Yeah.
Brian Adams,
Brian Lee.
Yeah.
Or Brian Adams, and Brian Lee, yeah.
Brian Clark.
Brian Clark.
Brian Clark, yeah. Oh, wow.
They
They looked so dominating.
Yep.
And they were, and they had a cool entrance, they had a cool name with a cool spelling, they had cool tag team moves, their finisher was awesome, their bro fist, whatever.
Yeah. Well, Brian Clark as Adam Bomb was badass too. Like he came out the goggles and everything, and I still think that's an homage that Becky Lynch was doing for a long time. She would actually wear the bomber goggles on top of her head.
This was the first time I ever gave a shit about Brian Adams, though.
Yeah.
Like, and he had done
back when he was
plenty.
Crush.
Oh yeah, he left the Disciples of Apocalypse to go to WCW and join the NWO as Brian Adams.
Yeah.
And I didn't care at all, even though I love the NWO, I didn't care at all about Brian. He was probably my least favorite next to Vincent. And then he got with Brian Clark, who was what, Wrath? Wasn't he Wrath?
Wrath, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep,
and
Wrath.
I was like, wow, these two fit together.
Yeah.
And they were great. And again, Mark Jindrak and Sean O'Hare. Oh my God.
Natural Born Thrillers.
Jesus. Sean O'Hare just had such a bright future if he hadn't have been a WCW guy that got bought by WWE.
Well, I was about to say, even then, his gimmick that he had, like, I went into depth about that. I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. He had that devil's advocate thing going on.
Yeah, he was the Bad News Barrett of his time.
Yeah. All of the signs are pointing to him becoming a star, and all of a sudden he's Roddy Piper's gut bodyguard, and it was just completely dropped.
Oh, there's one they fucked up, Bad News Barrett. Some of those NXT guys, they really fucked up Ryback. They really fucked up Ryback.
Well, Ryback was already, like Ryback was the second coming, I think, of Ryan Reeves, because he was also in OVW again before that, so. But
yeah, he had a lot of hurdles.
Skipper.
Yeah.
But Ryback was the one that worked.
What the fuck was he? I can't remember his
Skip
name
Sheffield.
anymore.
Skip Sheffield. He was
Skip
Skip Sheffield.
Oh, yeah, that's why I don't know why I said he looked Skipper. But anyways, but what killed Ryback, too, was
Your
that
Skipper was black.
Yeah, they pit his undefeated streak against the championship, against a champion that they weren't going to take the title off of. They booked themselves into a corner, and that was the turning point for him. Because once he started losing, and they gave him a mid-card title way too late into his career. They had already misused him plenty by then. He had been part of comedy gimmicks by then. And it was too little too late. And they had something very special with him. I don't think with his finishing move, because it's just a running Samoan drop. But I feel like the way he does his finishing move, what was it called? Wasn't the Feed Me More, it was the...
Oh, God.
The meat hook wasn't
The
the
meat hook.
clothesline. I remember
I
that.
remember the meat hook clothesline, but
There you go, the fact that we
Yeah.
can't remember what the finisher was called. I think that's how
he
Kona
very
Reeves...
seldom got to use it.
I think that's how Kona Reeves needs to do the Hawaiian drop.
Yeah.
He needs to take a running start like Skip
Shell
Sheffield.
shock.
The
The shell shock.
Thank you. Ooh, I was trying not to worry about it, but in the back of my mind, I knew I was
Well,
going to
that's okay. He just Googled the hell out of it.
Actually, I didn't. I got to my home screen and opened it. I was like, wait a minute. Shell shock, turtles. Duh.
Yeah.
Nice. So, any others before we move on?
There was one more. Fucking Sean Stasiak is meat.
Oh, that should have never. Oh, in that same time frame, beaver cleavage.
Yes.
Yes.
Great segments for what they were.
Yeah.
The comedy videos before he debuted, and of course that was Chaz from what was the
Headbangers.
The Headbangers, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, earlier my friend Chad called. It was like so is that like this? And Chad had a picture of beaver cleavage.
Oh, and then we had PMS, Pretty Mean Sisters, around that time frame
Yeah,
too.
well,
I like them. They were a good like a counter vision towards all of the like crazy masculinity like that treated women like pieces of meat. They treated meat like a piece of meat.
Yeah, and that worked out for them, especially the Attitude Era, because we also had Val Venus at that point, and that's what that whole feud was really about.
Because you can show all the bra and panties matches and mud wrestling matches and all of these women in the pool matches.
Okay, so I have to ask this real quick.
But then you're like, hey, women power, they've got a piece of meat that they drag
maybe
around.
we do this at some point down the line, but so I really want to go to the next topic anyway. But we bring a gimmick to the table and we discuss if it was a good gimmick or a bad gimmick. Like right now, we're talking about the Attitude Era a lot. There's one gimmick that comes to mind that could have been good and it could have been bad at the same time. And that was the sexual chocolate Mark Henry.
I think
they had those moments where it was just sheer brilliance, and then there's that Mae Young part.
It was what got Mark Henry over in his career to get him as far as he would have been gone a long time ago without sexual chocolate, I think.
Yeah.
Because up to that point they were really misusing him. However, it is probably also the blight on his career. Because even though he's had the House of Pain and he has won the World Heavyweight Championship and he has had a Hall of Fame, obviously, career because he's in the Hall of Fame, he's also the guy that gets chanted sexual chocolate when he comes out to the ring.
Yeah. He got pigeonholed into that.
He's the one that tried to have sex with his sex therapist and then had a fugly sex therapist try to have sex with him.
And also was responsible for Mae Young giving birth to a hand.
He had sex.
And found out Sammy had a penis.
With Mae Young. That was truly the Mae Young Classic.
Hey-oh.
Alright, so moving on.
Alright, Chris, you actually had a pretty decent sized question here, so we're going to let you take it away.
Okay, so my question is, so we talk about how popular NXT UK is becoming. Mm-hmm. What national market or TV channel would you put NXT or NXT UK, if not both, on the cable network, for example? My theory would be, Noah talked about this last night with 205 Live, same conversation. I talked about bringing it to USA. SmackDown's going to go to Fox. They could easily do it where 205 to have an hour, because you're going to lose that Tuesday night content. You could have an hour for 205 Live and have an hour for NXT. That would be a 2-hour show. But then Noah brought up too, we'll keep 205 Live with Fox, integrate them into SmackDown. So then my theory would be, if that's the case, if they did something like that, put the NXT and NXT UK, have them be 2 1-hour shows like they are now, and put them on Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. That gives them more exposure. And then we could see where it goes from there. They could try it out for a year and see where it goes and what the ratings are and stuff. And that gives these guys more national exposure as well.
You want to go first? Or Colin? Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Colin, go ahead, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I would go Fox Sports 1.
Yeah, he took the words out of... Finally, he gets to take my answer from me.
Yes.
Yeah. Fox Sports 1 all day. It's an up-and-coming channel. It's a channel not everybody has, but enough people do. Especially with the move going to Fox. Fox is the big ticket holder right now. You would want to get the show on the bigger market channel.
The bigot?
The more money. The more money channel.
Well, is
Because
FS1 bigger than USA?
what's that?
Is FS1 bigger than USA?
It's still owned by Fox, so I'm going to say the financial backing would be bigger.
I think the only thing that would make FS1 bigger would be as if it's available through digital satellite. Or not digital satellite, digital antenna. That those HD antennas, I've got one around here somewhere. I don't have one installed, but I should. If it's free, put it that way, because most of cable is going to go away, and it's happening fairly quickly. I think a lot of that is what's responsible for the 25% drop in ratings for Raw after Mania from this year to last year, or last year to this year. Cable's going away. I myself don't have cable. I have a streaming service. I've got Fubo. Or Fubo.
I have a streaming service
Fubo.
too.
It's orange.
I
like
do
it.
have cable, so I'm good.
Yeah, it's Fubo.
But I think that's where all the ratings are going, and I think FS1 is one of those channels that if it's not on the cheapest package, it is definitely on the sports package that you'll probably pay $5 for. USA is one of those channels that's on the cheapest package, and that's all I've got, because all I have Fubo for is for Raw and SmackDown. Legitimately, that's all I watch on that thing, because I also have Netflix, and that you don't have to worry about commercials and fast forwarding through them. But yeah, if FS1 is one of those additional channels that you get when like your local Fox channel comes in through your antenna, like if you've got the HD antenna, like you'll get a couple other channels with that on the same broadcast, I guess. Like there was a movie channel I was able to watch. It wasn't American Graffiti. It was some other old movie. But anyway, I'm just saying if it's free, then yeah, that's the way to go. Or if you can get it on Fox, that's definitely the way to go. But if it's between FS1 and USA, I would say it's probably a draw. And the fact that USA is going to have, like Chris said, that open 2-hour slot where SmackDown leaves, that's a perfect spot to put it for two reasons. One, as he said, 205 Live and an NXT would fit there brilliantly. And you can even put NXT UK in the 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock hour when it's viewership's going to fade anyway. And for two, from the copyright notices that we heard about from AEW, you can put NXT, the indie brand for WWE, up against AEW.
I didn't even think about that part, but yeah.
Yeah. So, Jerry, what do you think about it?
I say it doesn't move off the streaming services because cable is dying. People are getting tired of like these cable rates going up and up and up. So far, WWE has stayed true to the whole like $10 thing. There are already talks of WWE Network starting to offer different packages with different programs and stuff like that. Vince has actually already started talking about that. But at the same time, if they're going to still be like charging like $10 just for us to watch NXT UK and NXT, why put it on television to the point where it could either get canceled or just lose that same luster? Because that's the only thing really keeping WWE Network really even afloat is if the original content we get from there, the 205 Live, the NXT, and the NXT UK. So, like, for that, we would be losing something really special in the sense of, like, just more or less being thrown onto a cable network that won't promote it. We barely get promoted as it is, you know? So, and it almost seems like NXT and NXT UK and 205 Live, they treat them like, you know, afterthoughts still. They treat them like lesser shows. And it'll be showing that on more of a nationwide scale. It's like, yeah, these guys are just the farm service. These guys are the elite. They do so much more and so much better than what we get on the Raws and SmackDowns and whatnot. And I think if we actually move them to cable in any way, shape, or form, that would take away from that. Streaming services, they're the future. Simple as that. And I wouldn't even move this cable television.
I think you're right. I think the future here is for WWE to find a way to get Raw and SmackDown on WWE's network. Because I would pay an extra $10 a month to be able to watch Raw and SmackDown live.
No commercials.
Or even just an immediate streaming service after they go live. So USA and Fox get them live, but I can watch them starting at 11 o'clock on Monday or starting at 10 o'clock on Tuesday after they finish. For me, that's good because I don't get off of work until 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I would pay an extra $10 for that because that means I could drop Fubo that I spend $35 on.
That bring in a wider audience. Plus, it like you said, you'd have access to it. You wouldn't have to sit there and digest 3 hours of like Raw or so many hours of SmackDown. You'd actually be able to take breaks here and there and actually watch it.
You preserve the product
Yes.
as well. As cable dies, the subscriptions to WWE Network will go up if it's just an extra $10 to get those 2 live shows or those 2 shows.
And you'll still get your pay-per-views. You'll still get NXT, and NXT doesn't feel any less of a product. If anything, the fact that Raw and SmackDown would kind of be quote-unquote slumming it would actually kind of not really bring it down, but I think it'll make it more geared towards people, their target audience that they want, versus just trying to force it down people's throats and the ratings going down. Fuck the ratings.
Well, cable channels and networks are trying to get with the program, and they've got most of their shows available on online streaming services for them, especially networks, because it's all free anyway. So you can stream a lot of their shows for free online. But people don't want to go and search and do all of that when they can just go to Netflix and watch something that they're interested in.
Precisely.
And there you go. So Netflix is probably the future channel. And anything like Netflix that might pop up and gain large popularity, Hulu's kind of up there. But WWE has something special with the network because they launched it early enough with a good enough idea to get millions of subscribers. And I think if they can put Raw and SmackDown on the network, they can run their whole business without needing cable ratings.
I was say that's the thing. They're working pretty much ass backwards at this point.
I mean, at this point, it's almost as if they're running a business without cable ratings.
Yeah,
because their cable ratings are going in the shitter.
Mm-hmm. And the more people talk about the bad cable ratings, less people are tuning in for it. If you take away the aspect of the stigma, it's like, oh man, the show only got 3.5 out of something or 2.7. If you take away those numbers and just say, hey, did you see that kick-ass Raw last night? Or, hey, SmackDown didn't completely suck balls yesterday. It's like if you take away that stigma with these numbers and just focus more on the product and, not really giving the fans what they want, but something that they can digest without being told, yeah, our numbers are sucking, please check us out. It'd be a lot less pressure also on a writing staff and whatnot too, I think.
Yep.
That's my opinion. And my opinion and predictions are wrong.
You guys ready? All right.
Yeah.
Guys.
We've
got 5.
Support, no DQ.
Okay, so tonight I want to break the cycle. We've been doing the 5 best, fucking you name it, we do it. So I'm going to go a pretty easy one here, but the 5 worst finishing moves. So the premise here on We've Got 5 is that we are going to collectively decide the 5 worst finishing moves in, let's say, WWE, WCW, ECW, the main brands, maybe Impact. Well, let's exclude Impact, because I don't know if I'd recognize them. So we all get to chip in our ideas, and then once we have a good group to vote on, then we will figure out the bottom 5. So let's start it off with who's got a terrible finisher.
Oh, I've got plenty.
The Great Khali. What's his thing?
The choke drop.
Yeah.
The claw.
Or the claw, which one?
On air.
Okay, the claw. Yeah, that's got to be down there.
Okay, I'll go ahead and put them both in the same category there because they're both from the great Khali, who's a horrible, horrible wrestler. Great actor though. I loved him in Get Smart.
The Bailey to Belly.
The new Dirty Deeds.
Yeah.
Well, no longer.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Dirty Deeds 2.0.
But that's also like saying when Mick Foley did it, it was bad.
It was really horrible looking DET regardless, I think.
It's also quite dangerous, I would think.
Bulldog that he does. That was horrible.
Who's Bulldog?
Bo Dallas.
Oh, okay. The Bo Dog.
The Bo Dog. That looked horrible.
Who else had a really shitty finisher?
There's been a few of them. I just gotta remember That's
Alright,
how horrible they were.
here's a couple that come to
What was
mind
the Johnny
immediately.
Gonzalez's?
I think he pretty much just had like the choke bomb kind of thing too.
Yeah, sick
yeah.
colleague bullshit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One of the first ones that comes to mind, and John Harrison, the Armbar group, brought up to me not too long ago, or actually I think it was today actually, was Crush's Heart Punch.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
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 Lame buckets is what that move was.
It wasn't a heart punch, though. Like, he'd hold the back of their head and punch them.
Yes.
Hard punch. Okay, not heart punch. Hard punch. Yeah, that was bad.
I've got one that's going to be controversial. That's going to get a certain person in this room of white Caucasian color very, very angry at me.
Uh-oh.
Hogan's fucking leg drop.
Okay, now Hogan, Hollywood Hogan, is my favorite wrestler of all time, probably.
Yeah.
He is what got me into wrestling
Yes.
as a hardcore fan that watched every week
Uh-huh.
since 1997.
Uh-huh.
And I owe all that to him. All of this I owe to Hollywood Hogan for forming the NWO. But I do not argue against the leg drop being a lame finisher, even though I enjoyed it as a teenager.
Yeah.
As a young teenager, I was fine with it. But in retrospect, yes, it is a very lame finisher.
It was
much like the running splash from a certain Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, yeah.
Lame.
Steve McMichael's tombstone, his variation of the tombstone, that was horrible.
I'm almost tempted to say that the elbow off the top rope, I don't care if you're Shawn Michaels or Macho Man, it's kind of lame too.
The Purple Rainmaker drop.
Yep. Because Kairi Sane does one, and I'm like, yep, pretty lame. But you don't have to put that on the list. I don't expect
I'm putting top rope elbow drop.
It's not going to make the bottom five. But I'm just saying, personally speaking, I've seen it seems kind of lame. Matt Hardy's leg drop off the middle rope.
I don't think he ever finished a match with that though. That's more of a signature move, a setup move.
Okay, I think.
Because his finisher was always Twist of Fate.
That's a pretty lame finisher too.
It kind of
any kind of cutter like that where there's the setup, it's kind of lame.
Oh, I was about to say MVP's finisher that he did for the longest time with and Carlito's, where it's like the overdrive thing. He grabbed him by the wrist, put his head,
roll the dice. You mean?
He had like the head and the back of the leg and then the arm,
and then roll the dice. Yeah.
Yeah, I never liked it.
Yeah, not as a finisher, no.
Hey, what was Kozlov's finisher?
Wasn't it just a power bomb?
Yeah, I thought so.
Well, here's the thing. You look at Kozlov's power bomb, you look at Walter's power bomb, they're the same thing. It's just the presence of it.
I think any power bomb in general, because I was going to say Batista bomb, even the jackknife power bomb, like a power bomb in general should be a basic in-ring move, maybe that gets a near fall, but not a finisher.
There's one power bomb that always sticks with me anytime I ever saw it growing up and everything. I was like, damn, that looked like it hurt. It was Ahmed Johnson's Pearl River Plunge.
Oh yeah.
Anytime he hit that thing, it just felt bone shattering.
The Undertaker's last ride is, I think,
The wedgie bomb.
The wedgie bomb, yeah.
Yeah.
It just looks like he puts more into it, and maybe even the Batista bomb looks pretty powerful, but and even Walter. But there's some power bombs that it's just like, this should not be a finisher.
Mm-hmm.
So, what else?
What about the choke slam?
Nah, I like the choke slam.
I'm about to say, you get Kane's choke slam. It's all over. Especially, I love watching Kane do his choke slam because there was so much torque in his arm. But then he'll like flail his arm everywhere else. Like it's like yeah, I know I got that one, and that was pretty great.
Like just a basic top rope splash, lame.
It's also according who's doing it. Like basically, if you have like a guy like Jack Stars try to pull it off, yeah, it sucks. But if you have Jamal back when or
Walter.
yeah.
Walter doing it.
Walter's big
It's a
ass
different
from
level.
a fucking missile.
Yeah.
The Walter missile crisis.
But I've never been
Right.
entirely enthralled by the Usos top rope splash.
Well, they're Samoans. That's what they do. They fly.
So anyway,
Let's
right.
break down this list. See what we got. I think that's a decent.
All right.
No.
What we have right now that I wrote down that we both kind of all unified on was the choke drop claw, the Bailey to belly, which is just horrible, dirty deeds, Bo Dallas's bulldog, the hard punch, leg drop, warrior splash, top rope elbow drop, roll the dice.
Okay,
We
so
forgot Steve McMichael's tombstone, his variation of the tombstone.
Pretty much anything Steve McMichael did in that ring was freaking horrible. Mongo, Four Horsemen.
yeah,
Good
he was best on the mic or best on commentary.
which says a lot.
I liked him. Shut up. I like that commentary, but I was a Nitro guy, so that tells you all you need to know. So I think the Bailey to belly is definitely down there.
Yep.
Yep.
The hard punch is definitely down there.
Warrior splash.
The claw.
And Hogan's leg drop. Are we?
Yeah, because you got to think, how iconic is that, and it's just a basic fucking leg drop.
What
Right.
the really great thing about that, or the moment I think I realized how ridiculous of a move that move actually is. It took me the longest time growing up. It really did, because it signified the end. And I wasn't a big Hogan fan, but I marked out anytime he went for the leg drop, and he did that. But at the same time, his match with Shawn Michaels during SummerSlam, when Michaels oversold every last thing that Hogan threw at him, and if we hit him with the leg drop, his legs popped up and stayed for like 10 whole seconds, and finally dropped down. It was brilliant, but at the same time, I'm like, oh.
Okay, so I think we're gonna.
I've never been able to stand leg drop as a finisher.
Yeah, I feel like if in real life somebody did that to you, it would probably hurt your nose. It'd probably cause you to tear up a little bit, but you certainly would kick out of a 3 count.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It would take somebody with a massive leg that would just crush you and smother you at the same time, and then stay there with a lot of weight keeping your head down for you not to be able to kick out of a 3 count.
That's something that's always bothered me about Hogan, because now I guess we're gonna get on Hogan at this point. The fact that he's always bragging about his pythons and everything, and he never really did anything with them. He like you think he'd like throw mad amounts of clotheslines or whatnot.
Well, those punches,
Yeah, but even then, that's more like the python fist.
Well, he always reared back.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's always saying he's gonna wrap his pythons around you. He didn't do any freaking bear hugs. He got putting more bear hugs than anything else.
And sleepers.
Yes.
I'll
What you gonna do when my pythons wrap around the rope and break for you?
So I think we're gonna wrap this up.
Yeah.
On a high note, or a low note, as we say, the bottom 5. And
Yep.
this we've got 5. So let's get in some quick plugs. Chris, where can we find you?
Follow me on Facebook at Christopher Over May, support AfterMatch Wrestling, support Colin channel, support Superman Noah's channel, and pretty much, and support NoDQ.com. That's the most important one. I always support them.
Yep.
There you go.
What about you, Colin?
Twitter and Instagram, Colin26Andrew. Find me on YouTube, Colin, Colin, space Andrew, Andrew. Original content on Mondays, the chopping block, breaking down stuff. No DQ, Aftermatch Wrestling, Armbar, Noah Foster, Cindy G. Thanks, guys, for having us on. It's always fun.
All right, so before we get into our plugs, I just wanted to get those out of the way because I know Colin might be on a time crunch this late, but there is one more piece of business that we have to get into, but for that I need a knife and crackers.
Yes.
So, in just a moment, I will explain. I need a knife. Right there. A knife and crackers, some good old, I'm not even going to plug them. I'm going to throw the cracker box over there. You can just assume whatever these are.
Oh, our broadcast earlier was brought to you by Burger King.
Yeah. So the food was Burger King, but dessert is a la our friend, Steph Lee. And she is the one that gave us these awesome British Union Jack mugs. And she sent us some
Strawberry jam.
Homemade strawberry jam. Which comes with a double gift for me, because I'm definitely going to use those orange
Hairbands, yeah.
Yeah, hairbands. So, definitely smells like strawberry jam.
Yep.
So I'm going to give this a try. You want to try this with me?
Oh, I've already had a whole jar.
Oh, so you're...
We had a jar, a whole jar.
No,
you're going to deprive the...
She said more. Yeah, I'll
the audience.
Yeah,
that's what I thought, sir. That's what I thought. You're going to have some goddamn jam. I should have got a spoon.
This episode officially became jam-packed.
Pump up the jam.
Pump it up. We're going to kick out the jams.
Do me a favor and hold the cracker over the jar.
Yeah, I can do that. We don't want to get anything on our...
Jerry, he's telling you you have to pick him up and hold him over the jar.
Yes.
Yep, that's what I heard.
One more jam, or is that good?
That's good enough amount of jam. Ready?
All right, we're going to give this a go. There's a great-ass stale cracker right there. The jam is delicious. The cracker is stale. But the jam hides it very well. Thank you again, Steph. That is great. And I will definitely be having some PB&J sandwiches once I get some bread that's not stale.
Bachelor living.
Yeah, I go through plenty of tea, but you get those things like eggs and bread that you're like, well,
substance.
I might want to make a sandwich someday, and it just sits in there and
it never happens.
Goes bad. So, again, thank you, Steph, and that was the jam tasting.
Mm-hmm.
So for the
last time it was like the orange cream soda.
Yeah,
Cocoa.
Just make this a regular thing.
Yeah,
I need something new to taste. Giggity. So again, thank you guys for being on, and if you would like to be a guest on a future episode of the Rated R Rapport, find me on Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN. Or if you just want to look me up on Twitter, it's at Stephan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. As always, the R stands for restricted. And I'm going to get the fuck bomb out of the way right now. And I promise you, Jerry, the floor is now yours. You can also find this gentleman on Twitter.
At NoDQ General, and also on my Facebook group Armbar, all caps.
Fuck bomb!
Yeah, he did it.
Boom, baby. I didn't.
Colin, you suck as a human being.
Oh. Well, at least it wasn't Chris absconding with your armbar.
Chris completely ran with it like 2 or 3 times last time.
It's just me ruining it.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
I think you threatened me not to do it again, is what I think.
The threat was on me. I just knew how it would play out. Don't let Chris back on. He always steals my armbar thing. All right. We'll get Cindy instead. Cindy's the one that plugs everybody. She remembers everybody's plugs. Good grief. The brain on that girl. I can't remember the names of the wrestlers we just watched. And she remembers everybody's plugs. Bless her. That's Cindy, or nodq.com/Cindy. CINDY. That's where you can find her.
Yeah.
And find us on Armbar.
All caps, ARMBAR, exclamation point.
Boy.
Nice. I took the wind out of his sails, ladies and gentlemen. I promised him I wouldn't do that. And I'm sorry, Jerry. Next time I promise you I won't do that, I won't do that.
That's a double negative. Don't think I didn't catch that double negative.
I had to take the moment because you went into that very confidently because at the end of the NXTea party, I let you get through it all. With
Yeah, you did, and I appreciate it. But yeah, we had Tornado Tag Thursday this past night, and it was fantastic. I'm probably gonna make that into a weekly thing, hopefully, because that was just my phone was blowing up the entire day. It felt really good to actually see that amount of activity in that group.
And I actually got the notifications, and I noticed them, and I responded.
Yes, so
which I don't do a lot.
If you want in the group, find Stephen or I, or Colin and Chris. We're all in the group, and we'll let you in there. But remember, if you're not going to come in here and talk wrestling, you're just going to sit there and do nothing. Don't bother.
Yeah, don't bother. I mean,
seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, just at the very least, liking. I don't think we can share memes, but like the memes, maybe comment on them. But
well, you can save them and share them external.
But there you go. You can share them externally. Yeah. So I
don't
know if we would get
we don't own the
notified
rights to them either. It's fine.
So yeah, come find us on Armbar, but do not add us on Facebook. I keep my wrestling and my spoilers elsewhere. When I'm scrolling on Facebook, when I see that it's Armbar, I know better.
Yeah.
And I like to be able to get on Facebook on Monday night when I'm on break at work and not be spoiled on Raw. And Tuesday, likewise, on SmackDown. So, all right. Find us there. Find us on AfterMatch. Oh, wait. You're already here. So thank you for joining us on AfterMatch. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. That's underneath Jerry. We are on our way to 100, and we're telling you, at 100 subscribers, we will start doing What's NXT Live.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like the video, click the like button. That's underneath me. And if you don't have Facebook and you don't have Twitter, leave a comment down below on how we can get a hold of you if you'd like to join us for a future episode of Fill in the Blank. We do a lot of different things.
I was about to say, if you have questions for us, or if you have, we have got till 5 topic or anything you want to discuss?
Yes, please. We've got 5 topics. You want to see the top 5 or bottom 5 of anything? Let us know. We can use that in a future episode of the Rated R Report.
And we'll even mention your name. That's got to mean something, right? No?
So, now that we've got all of that out of the way.
Yeah.
For the holiday, Chris Mace. For the Cleaver, Colin Andrew. For the General, Jerry Slaughter. For the Wizard of No DQ, Stephen Osborne. The Rated R Reviewer. The producer of AfterMatch Wrestling. He's the secretary, by the way.
Hey,
I told him I'd get it in there. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
All right, have a good night, y'all.
Bad.
Come on, Grumplepuss.